The next person I'd like to introduce to you is a guy who's been a watchdog for Frankfort longer than just about anyone online. He's got a blog at kyprogress.blogspot.com, and he is a fierce advocate of spending money responsibly. His name is David Adams.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good. Great.
Super to have you all here. I want to start with a story. Actually, stealing this from a book called The Forgotten Man by Amity Shlaes. If you all haven't seen that book, check it out. Now, Amity writes about 4 men, and she's very creative with their names. She calls them A, B, C, and X. And what happens is that A and B get together, and they're discussing the plight of poor little X, who just, for whatever reason, has not been a winner of life's lottery, and X needs some help. And A and B want to help X, and what they do is they get together and help X with C's money. Welcome to the game, C. You get to pay to help out X because A and B want so desperately to help him. Congratulations. Now, when she was telling this story in the book The Forgotten Man, she was hearkening back to a 19th century essay about someone called the Forgotten Man. And the way that we used to look at things is the forgotten man was not X, was not the poor little waif out there who needed somebody to bail him out. The forgotten man was C. And that's, in the communist system, C was the one that financed the communist system, and C is the one that finances, unfortunately, a lot of the nonsense that we have going on now. And drilling down to the essence of what is wrong is critical to correcting what is wrong. And so that's what I hope to discuss a little bit today. Here in Kentucky, we have a lot of discussion about being a largely agricultural state. We have a lot of discussion about cash crops. And I submit to you that our number one cash crop is not horses. Our number one cash crop is not tobacco. And our number one cash crop is not marijuana. Our number one cash crop is government. Our number one cash crop is overmanned, overpopulated, over-budgeted government. And we need some weed killer for that crop. And if you look at I was up here yesterday for a little discussion in the rotunda about casino gambling. And if you take away the nanny state here in Kentucky, if you take away the federal nanny state, a lot of the arguments about or against casino gambling don't really make sense. That you can quote scripture if you want to, and I'll Bible bash with anybody, but setting that aside in a society of rules and with freedom of expression and freedom of religion, if you set aside the spiritual arguments against casino gambling and just look at what are we doing to the size of government. I thought to pick up a copy of the Lexington Herald-Leader on my way in, but just couldn't make myself do it. But
wasteful spending.
That's right. I'm going to hang on to my 75 cents for everything it's worth. But on the front page of the Lexington Herald-Leader this morning was a very misleading headline saying that the casino proposal was going to provide $700 million for schools in Kentucky.
That's bull. That
That's fertilizer for that other crop.
Hello,
Yeah, you know, it just doesn't hold up under any kind of scrutiny, and I feel bad for my friends over at the Lexington Herald Leader who seemed like they were getting it right over the last few days on the casino gambling issue, and then to blow it so wide open on the front page with such a ridiculous headline. You know, that's one thing that we can do, is call our media out on specifics when they're wrong. You know, calling the liberal media, if you will, liberal media, takes a little chunk out of their hide. But when we can point at specific examples of unfairness and specific examples of bias in the media, that takes a chunk out. And I think that's something that we have been moderately successful at doing, and the circulation numbers in the newspapers kind of bears that out. That's happening. In terms of things that we can do here in the state, along those same lines of financing the schools with casino gambling money, it's true that the schools that are in the worst shape physically, something has to be done. So, you know, somebody has to come up with the money to pay for those schools, and the way to do that is by repealing prevailing wage. Now, and I want to talk to you. A lot of you know what that is, but a lot of people don't know what that is. So distilling out the message and being able to communicate what that is and what needs to be done and why it needs to be done is very, very important. Prevailing wage is essentially union wages for for public construction projects. And if we were to repeal the provision that requires union wages only for school construction projects, we would save hundreds of millions of dollars a year, providing the money to completely fix the schools that are in the worst shape here in the state. Now, another stumbling block with regard to prevailing wage is that name. Now, we have gotten our butts kicked all over the place on minimum wage, on essentially price fixing of labor, because people say, why are you mean old rich white people so upset about somebody getting paid enough money that they can feed their families? Why do you hate poor people so much? Why are you against the minimum wage? You see how that message is crafted and used against us. Well, prevailing wage is made possible through a federal law called Davis-Bacon. And I think if we refer to the prevailing wage issue simply as Davis-Bacon, then it's not as emotionally charged as something that sounds like minimum wage, prevailing wage, enough money to feed your family type of thing, and gives us an opportunity to explain what we're talking about. So help me when you're out there talking to friends and neighbors and discussing this issue of where we could get a couple $100 million a year, and tell them that it's repealing Davis-Bacon. And that gives you an opportunity to explain what that is. Another big one, and now they're in there this morning in the General Assembly in the House, passing House Bill 3 for this special session. That is a corporate welfare bill that Andy spoke about earlier. One of the worst provisions of this bill is that it takes this ridiculous process that we've been using for some time, that where if somebody in Iowa builds a business and they're pretty successful, then all these other states come in and say, hey, Iowa company, we'll give you tax breaks if you'll come to our state and move your business into our state. Well, because one state started doing that, another state started doing that, now 49 states out of the 50 play this game, play this losing game where there can be no winners.